Reiki energy, everyone. I thought I would talk about this piece of art I just been working on this week and hope that the divine frequency emitting from it is able to reach you in some way, because I believe that's why, as an energy artist, I create the art that I do. At least that's what Spirit told me, that we all have our way of channeling light frequencies into the earth plane, especially those of us that came here to be a healer, a supporter, a teacher in some way. But that does not mean that we are not also human and on our own learning curve, learning path. But this is my way. I've always been interested in art since I was a little girl, and at some point it became all spiritual art. So last week I was saying the rosary, and I heard Mary say to me, the cross is the tree of life. And I made an entire video on that, which you can find probably a couple videos back on my page here, if you want to go more in depth to it. But basically what she was trying to say is that the cross and the energy of crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension, which are the three primary energies of the Christ consciousness, the cosmic Christ in combination with unconditional love, forgiveness, harmony, kindness, compassion, empathy. Those are his energies that we are here to emulate. So I knew I had to paint a painting with a cross that became a tree with Mary in it. And when I started to paint this, usually I paint the face first. I did paint the face as far as, put the face in the middle there, but I never did any of the features. I immediately went to the veil, and then this concept of her arms outstretched and held up over her head. And she told me that I would need to paint hands held above the crown chakra, and I do not like painting hands. I'm not good at painting hands, but I did it for Mary. And eventually she asked me to put the flame there. So when I paint what I see and feel, but then I also stop. I pause a lot, which is a good tactic for everyday life too. Instead of just, tumbling ahead, that we stop and we pause and we ask for insight. We ask for guidance. We ask for protection, wisdom. And so I did that. I painted the hands, and then I was next told to do the cross. I painted the cross here. And then eventually I was told to put the full moon within the sun, which you can see I did there behind the cross. And when I asked her why the moon inside the sun, she said that she is the moon, the mother moon, and Jesus, her son, is the Son of God, but he is the sun represented by the sun. But the moon is within the sun and the sun within the moon. And these are two energies that are very different, as we know, but they are in balance with each other. We need both of these energies. Sorry, I'm just trying to listen to what she's telling me to say right now. So on the bridge of her nose, you can see that I did a symbol that is supposed to represent the yoni, or the feminine portal opening, the birth canal, the opening to the birth canal. And then I put this spiral energy on her forehead. I'm not quite sure why it looks like there's an S in there. I haven't figured that out yet or heard why. But then I was clearly told to do the wings on both sides, which are a nod to the goddess Isis from Egypt. She was considered the Mother Mary figure of the Egyptian culture. And many scholars believe that both Mary and Mary Magdalene were priestesses in the temples of Isis, as Egyptian culture was existing and had its own theology and belief system well before Jesus was even born. A lot of the books that I've read have actually said that Jesus was initiated and scholared in the various temples of the goddess, the Egyptian temples, and the goddess Isis. And that was part of his learning. And then he applied his own inner wisdom to that theology and carried it forward. So there's a big connection of Jesus to the divine feminine, which is also why I put the maiden, mother, crone, the phases of the moon in here. So what I thought was really cool is that when I did this, I had all this empty space. And then they told me to put the cross here. And I was thinking, well, how is this going to turn into a tree? Because that was the whole point of the painting. And I was told to bring the tree up into this empty space on both sides. So that's what I did. And then I filled it in with spring leaves, which is resurrection, ascension, rebirth. The yellows and the greens colors represent that. And this concept of new life, that from following the energies of crucifixion, resurrection, ascension, we all are born again. And again, I made a longer video on that if you'd like to dive deep into that. But I thought what was really cool is that when I stepped back one day, because I did this art over several days, I realized that empty space that the trees and the branches and the leaves filled in actually looks like lungs. Let me hold it up higher so you can see. Isn't that wild? And, as we all know, they say that trees are like the lungs of the planet because we cannot live without the trees, and the trees cannot live without us because of the oxygen, carbon dioxide exchange. So we are here to coexist. And that's another sign of this idea that the cross is the tree of life. That if we would only understand that we are here to coexist, we can create the humanity that we truly want, which is to live in harmony and peace, in love and understanding, in acceptance, acknowledging the beauty of the planet that's all around us and using its resources that is there for all. And I asked Mary what this is not her hair, but I was told it was a veil. But when I asked her what this meant, because I was specifically told to put these little bows, she told me that it was a mourning veil, mourning. And I think that's a nod to her mourning, the process her son had to go through, but also greater than that, because he was an entity of great power, and he was able to transmute the suffering, the physical suffering that he went through, much more than I think we know that he did, because we've been told through some of our religions that we are to be guilty, to feel guilty and ashamed that he died for our sins. He didn't really die for our sins as much as he brought that energy of crucifixion, resurrection, ascension onto the earth plane so that we can understand that we also, as humans, have divine within us like he did. And that even though this was a planet of great crucifixion, persecution, lessons, that we were able to overcome that, to resurrect from that, to ascend into higher understandings, higher wisdoms, and to bring those energies and anchor them on the planet, which is what a lot of us healers and light workers are doing. So this concept of the mourning veil is really not so much that she mourning for her son because she knew that he was going to rise and that his message was going to carry on through the centuries, but the mourning is for the people of the earth that is taking us so long to integrate his message, because it can do such immense good, and we're holding back. So there is a collective mourning for that. We all mourn, as we're all mourning now, as we see the great tragedies and lower energies that are dominating the planet right now. Yeah. So then I was told to put these two roses, and M for Mary and J for Jesus, or Yeshua, and this concept of Mary and all of the goddesses being connected to the rose, in the sense of the rose being a flower that's been on the planet for a very long time, and it's the flower with the thorns and the beautiful soft petals, all the various colors and forms and varieties that the rose takes. It represents human life, that we are filled with great beauty and unfolding, and the ability, like we were talking about earlier, to come into our divine blueprint, but that we often choose to focus on the thorns or to cause the thorns within our lives and other people's lives. So there's a code. That's what I'm hearing right now. There is a code within the whole sisterhood of the rose. I'm going to have to dive deeper into that because I just heard that now. There's a code that can be unlocked by working with the power of the rose as plant medicine. These stars I was told to put here, which is the 8-pointed star, and that's the star of Ishtar, which became the goddess Ishtar, which became the star of the goddess Isis. And so those on Mary's robe here are a nod to the connection of how goddesses through different cultures are connected. And this idea of this cosmicness, the cosmic Mary, the cosmic goddess, just like the cosmic Christ. This is bigger than the earth plane. These energies come from another dimension, and they are trying to root themselves, to grow upon the earth plane so that this planet can evolve into a higher form. So when I asked Mary why she was holding her hands, did I say this already? When I asked her why she was holding her hands over her head, I did that before I searched what that mudra, that hand mudra means. I was told that, she said to me, I'm doing that because I am containing my energy and holding my divine frequency for the all, which I thought was really beautiful. But then I searched it, and actually it does mean that. That's one of the many meanings of that hand mudra, which I always find myself doing this when I do Reiki on someone in person. I start with the crown, and I cup my hands over the top of their head like that, and that's how I begin to send the energy. So I'm going to have to flip this over because I can't remember everything I wrote. But when I searched it, it said, let me put it on here while I'm saying this. On search, the hand mudra over the head also means opening and receiving energy to flow into the body, which is what I think I do when I do Reiki. Connection to a higher intelligence, unlocking intuitive wisdom, sending intentions, prayers, and desires, and surrendering the ego. So I thought that was really awesome, and I really love how this looks, like this idea of almost like she's in a almost tree of life. I'm doing this. It's like the yoga pose, the tree of life yoga pose, where you stand with one foot bent and held, one foot straight, the other one brought up, the ball of the foot brought up to around like the inner knee. If you don't do yoga, and then you hold your hands above your head like that, sometimes up in with your hands in prayer pose, but you can also hold it like that. So again, I guess it's kind of a nod to the whole concept of the tree of life. So really interesting. I thought I would share that. And sorry. I'd be really curious if you had any things you wanted to add about what you see in the art. Please put it in the comments section below so that we can talk amongst ourselves and share how the art opened you in some way, or something else that you saw that could add to the collective wisdom that I just heard. I would really love that. I would think that would be awesome. So Reiki blessings, everyone. Chakra, Seiki, Honsha Shonen, Daigomyo, Merkafaka Lishma, and the violet flame of transmutation. The Merkafaka Lishma is a symbol that I was not inundated with or schooled into when I went through my Reiki certification, but I found it later when I was studying, because there's many, many, many Reiki symbols that changed and evolved over time, as things do. And I found the Merkafaka Lishma, and I just loved it when I found out. I loved the way the symbol looked and sounded, but I also loved the way it is about embodying the divine feminine within ourselves in our actions. Yeah, so blessings. I hope everybody has a beautiful day.